So, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris picking up speed as she looks to run in Biden's place. Then, what will that mean for the Korean Peninsula? We're joined by Dr. Mark Barry this morning. Welcome back, Dr. Barry.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. After formally removing himself as the presidential candidate, U.S. President Joe Biden is now backing Kamala Harris to replace him as the new Democratic nominee. Now, what has Harris's standpoint been when it comes to dealing with North Korea and Korean Peninsula issues?
Well, as as vice president, she traveled to the DMZ in September 2022 as part of her trip to the Republic of Korea. That's sort of a rite of passage for vice presidents and of course presidents as well. They have to go there to really be able to say they have a handle on the situation. But the reality is she's still the vice president. She does not have any wiggle room to pronounce any policy any different than that of the Biden administration. But once she's elected, if elected, she would be free to retool U.S. policy to match her assessment of regional needs and U.S. capabilities and interests. And I think for a starter, hopefully she would appoint a full-time ambassador-level special representative for North Korea, because currently we have none as of a few weeks ago.
Definitely. And there's Kamala Harris, and also there's former U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, if Trump is reelected as the president, will he prioritize Korean Peninsula issues like he did back in 2018 and 2019? What's your take on this?
Well, the top issue is to deal with Ukraine. Just the other day, he was on the phone with Zelensky. Zelensky was correct to reach out to Trump because they're going to have to talk with each other. But I think what Trump would focus on is to make a deal with Putin, which will probably freeze the battle lines exactly where they are, and it will not be a good situation. But he doesn't want to spend any more money defending Ukraine on a battle that he probably believes can't be won. But once he's done that, here's my little prediction of what he would say, and this is sort of a quote, once he dealt with the Korean issue. He would say, Korea is a rich country, and you're selling the latest weapons around the world. You don't need U.S. troops on your soil, and we have to save the U.S. a lot of money. So I will draw down the numbers of our troops and maybe leave a few hundred there after 4 years. And meanwhile, the situation on the peninsula has become parlous since 2021 in terms of the tensions on the peninsula, and they would not have occurred if I had been president. And in fact, he said this to Korean audiences over the last 3 years by video. So he would probably then say, I will make a deal with Kim and let him keep a few nukes, just short-range missiles, in exchange for our stopping all military exercises with both Korea and Japan, and the troop drawdown. But he would probably say that current ROK policy exacerbates tensions with Kim Jong-un and has to stop. And he would, I would predict, say that it's best if President Yoon makes a determination and makes the effort to meet with Chairman Kim and finds a way to get along. Now, that would be pretty much what he would say, but I would also add that given Kim's partnership with Putin, Kim may decide not to meet with Trump at all because he figured he's not good for his word and he's not good for his money. But Putin is the unknown in this whole situation because he may intervene between Trump and Kim, and then we'd have to see exactly where the chips fall.
Well, Dr. Barry, that does sound like something Trump would definitely say after being reelected. And also dealing with Russia has to come with dealing with North Korea. It's almost like a 1+1 situation. Mm-hmm. And we have 160 left until the November presidential election in the U.S. Do you think North Korea will continue its provocations up until the election?
Yes, but they'll continue it at a very low level, but an annoying level. In other words, nothing that would bring about kinetic action, but the maximum annoyance to inflict insult. But I think because when Putin visited, I guess it was in June, Pyongyang, he probably intimated that he doesn't mind Kim being a bit of a rascal, But the most important task for North Korea is to assist Putin in his battle against Ukraine, and he doesn't want North Korea to be distracted. So my feeling is that the mischief making is fine because it will make the Biden-Harris team look bad, and if Trump wins, then all of that could possibly change.
Definitely. And leaders of European countries were quick to respond or react to Biden's withdrawal from the campaign, saying, his decision to leave the race deserves some respect, while South Korea's top office declined to directly comment on his decision. What do you think the reason is?
Well, the difference is Biden goes back almost 50 years in foreign policy as a senator, as vice president, and as president. And NATO has been very, very dear to his heart because so much of that period was the Cold War period. And in his view, and in many people's view, it was Biden who revived NATO that had been severely undermined by Trump. But if you're President Yoon and, frankly, Prime Minister Kishida, you have a mutual defense commitment with the United States. It's bilateral. It's not multilateral. And so you have to be careful not to comment on U.S. domestic politics because you have to get along with whoever becomes president of whatever party and however nice and interesting or odious that person may be. That's the reality of being a treaty ally.
Indeed. Dr. Barry, before I let you go, South Korea's Unification Minister Kim Jong-un is currently over in the U.S. where he met with U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell. Will that significance and purposes of his trip become any different now that Biden is out of the race?
I think his appointments are the same, and it's good that Deputy Secretary Campbell could meet with him right off the bat. I see it as primarily a way for the ROK to discuss with the U.S. the very important issue of trying to curtail China's standing policy of returning most North Korean defectors back to North Korea. Also, he reported today, Minister Kim, that he presented outlines of a new ROK unification proposal that would put the emphasis on freedom and prosperity. So we have to see what that is. But under the current conditions, that may be mostly window dressing on a very, very tense situation. And I think Deputy Secretary Campbell listened with interest, but being the proper diplomat, you don't discuss domestic policy, other than to say I'm confident that Vice President Harris will be our next president on January 20th. And for Minister Kim, therefore, it's basically a listening tour. And he may, over dinners and in private talks, be able to pick up some things from what Americans he does meet, whether they be in think tanks or congressional aides or whoever. He's a good listener, and he'll make a good report back to the presidential office. And his timing is very fortuitous, and I wish him well.
All right, Dr. Barry, always a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you so much for your insight, as always.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.